No stupid questions. Do rich people do crazy shit? I mean, Jeff Bezos makes around $200,000 every day. He can completely turn somebody's life upside down if he wants to. He could build orphanages, multiple, every day. He could build schools every day. Homeless shelters. Hell, he could save thousands of homeless people every day by buying them an apartment. Do rich people do such stuff from time to time or no? I know that Bill Gates and Melinda Gates do some crazy stuff all around the world, but what's with the other guys? And please know all rich people should die and are psychopaths. Gates and Buffett formed the Giving Pledge, where billionaires agree to give away at least 50% of their money to charity. Zuckerberg, Elon Musk etc. have signed. Bezos has not. The list of who has signed is here. Some URL. For his 30th birthday, Elon Musk rented a castle in England and played sardines, similar to hide and seek, until 6 in the morning. Edit. Source from Ashley Vance's biography of Musk. No, rich people do eccentric shit. Isn't most Jeff's money in assets anyway? Removed. A lot of people are surprised that you don't know the difference between net worth and liquid wealth for a sub called r/NoStupidQuestions. And that is the reason that Bill Gates will have statues built of him, and in 100 years no one will remember who Bezos was. Yes, rich people do batshit crazy things. For example, they eat at any restaurant they want to without checking their bank account. They send all their loved ones amazing Christmas and birthday gifts without even having to start saving in January. They go on vacation every year. Sometimes even multiple times a year. They have unlimited mental and physical health care. They have reliable transportation everywhere. It's truly a paradise to be wealthy. 200 million a day? Where are you getting that from? Bezos is like a magic word at this point. You say it and poof, you have summoned 1,000 salty Redditors. Sometimes I'm still surprised on how Bill Gates single-handedly cured polio in India. One single man. One day he woke up and he was like, but we have vaccines. Why do they still have polio in India? What, they cost like $2 each and they can afford it. How many do we need? Like 200 million. GG easy, I can afford it. Bam, solved. I can't even fathom the number of lives he saved, and he was a nerdy dude in a garage with a computer. Removed. I think the craziest thing rich people do is buy time. Not in the literal sense. But they make sure their time is spent not doing menial shit. A lot of shit normal people just waste time doing. Like sitting in traffic or going to the bank, wait in line, shit like that. I come from a very wealthy family. Most of the wealth is devoted to paying the state of Israel either through direct donations or through our family foundation. My parents were brainwashed by Leslie Wexner, a close friend of Jeffrey Epstein. They were told that they were very special when they were young adults and entering the financial world during Reagan, and that most people were lazy and undeserving. To prove their worth in the group of young elites that they found themselves in, they became staunch Zionists, which was at the core of Wexner's ideology. Don't know if that answers your question. But trying to look away at the real human flaw of having people, regular folks, being convinced that they are so special that they are allocated the majority of society's resources while collapsing democracy is something I cannot do, being a child of these people. Greater than I mean, Jeff Bezos makes around $200,000 every day. He doesn't, his assets increase in value, he doesn't have billions lying around in a golden coin swimming pool. Jeff Bezos doesn't get 200 million deposited into his bank account every day. LMAO. Net worth equals the amount of money you have. Answer: the rich people that do crazy shit you are more likely to hear about. What you don't hear about are all the rich people not doing crazy shit. There is a good chance you've interacted with a multimillionaire and didn't even know, because most of them pretty normal people. Now a clarification, Jeff Bezos does not literally make that much money a day. His wealth is tied up in the value of his holdings. He doesn't have a bank account that gets $200 million deposited into it every day. With that in mind, it's difficult to just go out and buy homeless shelters or orphanages. His accountants have to sell off stock to generate the cash to do it. It's a small distinction but an important one. Okay, so why don't super rich people buy homeless people homes? Some do. Harris Rosen. Some URL. Has pumped millions into the Florida town of D'Angelo Park and greatly improved it over the years. Many rich people use their wealth altruistically, but it doesn't get much attention outside of those affected, so it doesn't make the news as often. Another problem though is that buying orphanages and homeless shelters doesn't solve underlying problems. Many homeless have drug or mental health problems and simply can't live in a home or take care of one. Often throwing money at a societal problem doesn't solve it. It would be a band-aid solution at best. There are a lot of altruistic rich people. Most of them just do their thing though and don't seek attention. The crazy ones get attention because they do crazy things, so it can give a false impression that all rich people are psychopaths. I just want to say that resources are important but complex problems can't be solved by just throwing money at them. You can't solve homelessness by just buying people houses. Donating to charities that work towards helping people, lobbying for better social programs and supporting research or think tanks on the issue would be a lot more sustainable and useful. The shit that goes on behind the scenes with the super wealthy, think Epstein. Why do people always harp on the super wealthy to donate money? You realize the ones that do, get a huge tax savings for doing so. Short answer, yes. Long answer, absolutely. It's called philanthropy. Yay, kill Jeffrey Epstein. Crazy how? Crazy like busting unions and enabling plutocracies, or crazy like bathing in unicorn blood? Or crazy like busting unicorn unions? I heard Warren Buffett will still bargain hunt and whip out all the coupons at shops. I find it kinda amusing. It's not that easy. It's a little bit like the whole teach a man to fish proverb. I am not saying that homeless people deserve to be homeless, because I do believe that it's not their fault, but there is always a reason that they are homeless, usually due to a lack of life skills / mental health issues etc., and in the end it's much more complicated than it seems. Often when housing is just given away, the home isn't maintained and the resident ends up eventually losing the home. Same thing for orphanages and schools. You can build them but you still need properly trained people to run them. To get that you need people who want to be trained in that field and be able to pay them. Everything that seems like a simple solution on the surface usually turns into a complicated daisy chain of cockblocks. Billionaires would have to dedicate all their time to managing these things, which means they wouldn't have time for doing the thing that made them rich in the first place. I mean, you haven't been hearing about bunch of billionaires and their pedophile sex island? If that's not the craziest shit, I don't know what is. I don't understand the question. Dragons often just sit on their piles of gold and gems. Though, some of dragons promise to return a portion of the gold and gems when they die. Aren't we so lucky? Rich people don't get rich by giving away their wealth, so no. Rich people do not do this because then they wouldn't be rich. Jeff Bezos bought out Whole Foods and then took away their health care to make money to pay for his divorce after cheating on his wife. He's not exactly the charitable type. Lucky enough to have family who live in a very wealthy neighborhood. Mine are well off but not anywhere near as well off as some residents. We're talking a few billionaires. 99% of them are completely normal. They eat more expensive food and have bigger houses, but rarely go on spending binges. Doesn't matter who you are, nobody likes to spend hundreds of dollars in public even if it's a drop in the bucket. But, there is one exception. Some guy flies into the neighborhood on a helicopter several times a week. He uses it to go downtown instead of just driving. It's incredibly loud and obnoxious and everyone dislikes it strongly. Apparently they fuck young kids. Epstein, Andrew. If you're still reading comments, I'd like to add this. Some URL. You're mentioning Bill and Melinda Gates, I assume you're thinking about their charities? Do not mistake their super easy philanthropy for actually doing something good with their money, something society needs. I'll tell you one thing about the super rich, they sure as hell aren't doing nearly as much as they could, and they sure as hell aren't paying their taxes properly, and if they did, that would actually be better for society. A lot of sociopaths become CEOs, as if anyone here if given the same amount of wealth would do any good in the world. Nothing but jealous ego-stroking Redditors. Let's ignore the fact that Bezos has helped provide services that has improved the lives of hundreds of millions of people. He spent his life building that company. He has already given more than most ever will. Y'all are feeling awfully charitable when it's not your money. You don't have money right now, fine, you can volunteer your time then at charities and benefits. I don't think rich people are obligated to do anything with their money. They just need to be taxed more to begin with, a lot more. Warren Buffett, I have heard, lives frugally, and has given away a big chunk of his fortune. Greater than Jeff Bezos makes around $200,000 every day. No, he doesn't. How are people still mixing up net worth with salary? Most of his net worth comes from Amazon stock, it's not liquid cash. And he can't just sell them either. He doesn't have billions of dollars laying around. Greater than lists reasons why billionaires are horrible. Tells people not to say billionaires are horrible. Damn son, what flavor boot you got today. I think the fact that Jeffrey Epstein is dead should tell you a lot of what rich people do with their time. There are occasional class traitors who do very good things with their wealth, sending entire communities, some URL, to school, but I hate to tell you that the vast majority of millionaires and billionaires simply try to make more money with their money. I'd also like to disabuse some URL, you of the notion that the Gates Foundation is doing some URL good, some URL around the world, some URL. Bezos does not make $200,000 every day. His salary is $180,000 per year. He owns shares in Amazon which are appreciating, but he only makes money when he sells them. The more he sells, the less control he has over his company. In order to build orphanages, he would have to give up Amazon. Imagine you were a talented painter who works as a night security guard at a factory for $30,000 per year. You borrowed $50,000 to buy supplies. You made 10 pictures and kept the most beloved, while selling the other 9 for $10,000 each, on the secondary market. These then sold for $50,000 each, then $5 million, then $200 million, and eventually they were being auctioned at Sotheby's for $1 billion each. You still have one. And your factory job. Some progressive retard on Reddit says, you're a billionaire. That's not fair. You should build orphanages. Do you think you are obliged to sell the painting you made with your own hands and love? That's what you're asking Bezos to do, even though he's just a factory worker with a painting. Remove the rich bit because the rich are a subset of people and the answer becomes obvious. Do people do crazy shit? Yes. So rich people do crazy shit. In fact, I think that's where the whole dislike of rich people comes from. They're about average people, yet some have more power than small countries. I wouldn't trust myself with that. I wouldn't trust anyone I can think of with that. Yet they're still out there, doing much the same dumb shit everyone else does but on a terrifying scale. It's worth noting that Bill and Melinda Gates only do their charity work in countries with large deposits of rare minerals used in computers. Gates has doubled his net worth since pledging to give it all away. He's still just investing. Lots of what these people make are tied up in their assets rather than being cold hard liquid cash they can spend. Rich people must love the fact that millions of struggling ordinary Joes will defend the fact that they hoard unimaginably large sums of wealth. Indeed, it's grand to be wealthy. Edit. Down votes from temporarily embarrassed millionaires. His money is all tied up in stocks. No, because they are greedy assholes and give such a tiny fraction of their wealth to good causes that it has nothing to do with generosity whatsoever. Most people can afford to give some change to homeless beggars when they see them. How many do? Exactly. Bezos is a fucking twink. Most of them aren't like the Gates and Warren buffet. Most of them spend their time and fortunes a tiny piece at a time on $25,000 per night hotel suites, the $100,000 it costs to refuel their personal jets once or twice. Salaries $30,000 to $100,000 at a time for personal shoppers, gardeners, cooks, chauffeurs, sommeliers, decorators, personal trainers, nutritionists, therapists, etc. $10,000 bottles of wine, etc. Fine things all out of proportion to their cost is what I'm getting at. Things you could have at 70% to 80% of the quality for 1% to 2% of what they pay. Because why not? Personally, if I spent a family of four's living expenses for a fucking decade on a car, I'd want to kill myself from shame. But they are psychopaths. Any philanthropy they do is basically them saying, hey, look at what a good person I am, oh, and buy more of my shit. In other words, it's good advertising for them. It's not really charity. True charity involves some actual self-sacrifice of not only your money and resources, but also your time. They give out of their excess because they expect praise and a return on the investment. I'm not saying this applies to every super rich person, but it does for the vast majority of them. But seriously though, Bezos is the scum that grows on the top of a sewage treatment pond. Bezos is actually a fucking dick. Okay, something that people need to realize is that the homeless people are homeless because that's kinda who they are. Whether it be bad drug habits, low intelligence, bad attitude, 99.9% of them have habits that contribute to a lack of ability to stay employed. Also, while I worked my ass off to pay a mortgage, why is some homeless junkie getting a free apartment from the billionaire class? The fuck is up with that kind of thinking? I'm surprised I haven't seen it yet. He's building rockets to take humans into space. Politics aside, that's way more crazy and forward-thinking than building orphanages or whatever. I mean, it's like a whole other level. P.S. I have no affinity for Bezos. What the Gates and Buffet do is not crazy shit. It is awesome shit. People don't stay rich being considerate and or generous. Look up Chuck Feeney in the Atlantic Philanthropies. He's given away over $8 billion in his lifetime. David Dobrik does crazy shit. I mean, he hired a plumber to get Jason's toenail out of the sink, sweating face. Just want to add that he doesn't make that much every day. He probably only has $1 billion in multiple offshore bank accounts. This is how much his Amazon stock is worth because he owns like 25% of Amazon's shares. So since he owns the business, his net worth is more of a reflection of how well Amazon is doing, not his actual salary. I mean, Bill Gates was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane a few times, so I imagine that other billionaires also pay to rape little children. He doesn't make that much. Value of his possessions changes. It isn't profit if he doesn't sell. That's why we get news like Mark Zuckerberg lost $1 billion in one day. Yeah, true if he sold those stock in that day, but he didn't, so he didn't lose anything. So yeah, Jeff is fucking rich and could do a lot of things, but he gets richer by keeping money in Amazon and not spending it. Well, based on your definition of crazy shit, yes. Personally, for our family, no. A lot of billionaires donate very generously to a lot of charities, and some, like my family, prefer to keep it under wraps. Also, I hope you do realize that net worth does not equal your propensity to spend, though they are correlated. Most of that wealth is not liquid. So many salty people in the comments with the mindset rich equals bad. Even if a rich person donates what would be little to them, but would be huge to us, who the fuck cares? They still donated to that cause, and now we're ridiculing them because they donated money? Most of rich people's money isn't liquid. The money they have isn't cash but stocks in their companies or property they own, as well as fine art. They would have to sell all of that at a huge loss to get cash to spend. Bezos' money comes from his stock in Amazon. His actual salary is about $100,000 a year, part of why he isn't taxed insanely, but the number of his wealth is from his rising stocks, which he doesn't really have on him. The average salary at Amazon is $150,000. Bezos' success is helping a lot just there, and there are many more ways B is contributing. I saw a 60 Minutes once where they featured this club put together by Bill Gates. Each member of the club is uber wealthy, and each member gives up as much as 90% of their wealth to further good scientific research/charitable donations. They literally give away billions of dollars a year. The problem with giving away money for billionaires is that they do not really have that money. Like, they probably have couple thusnat in their bank account. Most of that money is just stocks in their companies. The company grows, the stocks gain value, the billionaires become richer. They earn and lose so much money just because of stock market fluctuation. If they give away their money, they would stop earning it. And you're dismissing all the good they have done? I.e. building schools, creating Tesla, Solar City, to name a few of the things Musk has done. Bezos donated more to charities than anyone else in the world. Lastly is a bad argument to tell what someone should do with their money. Lol, why would you do that when you could have a higher number in your bank account? Omirite guys? Smiley face, collision, 100, thoughtful face, Mr. Beast. Crazy is not the correct word to use though. Read books by psychiatrist Thomas Sauce. /r/Shtsian. Finally, one I can answer. I literally have never been able to answer any Ask Reddit question in my entire life, and have never posted anything on Reddit until this exact moment that is happening right now. Writing this on mobile, sorry for bad formatting. Also, English is my sixth language, so there might be one wrong word, TLDR, at the bottom. Obligatory, not a teacher. But my sister's friends, stepbrothers, bosses, daughters, friends, moms, cousins, dogs, breeders, brothers, co-workers, father's YouTube channel had a comment where some guy talked about a post he saw on Tumblr that referenced an Instagram post from this one girl who posted on Reddit, and had a comment where there was this guy who knew 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 this guy's cousin who was friends with a girl whose mom was a teacher. Anyways, she said that a student one time turned in a meme instead of an essay. Ha. TL, doctor, a student one time turned in a meme instead of an essay. Ha. Edit, wow, thank you so much for the upvotes. I've never gotten more than 10 before. Edit 2, wow. I hit 100 upvotes, thank you guys. Edit 3, holy crap. I literally cannot believe this, I got a silver award. I would like to personally thank whoever gave me that award. Edit 4, OMG. Gold. Thank you so much for the gold, I am literally shaking and crying right now. Edit 5, holy moly guacamole, I got platinum. I cannot thank you enough, this is amazing. I literally am crying of joy right now. I am still trying to wrap my head around the fact that someone used their specific amount of currency to purchase an award that was specifically given to me so that my post is shown to have said award. Edit 6, spieling. Are you donating to all those causes, or are you just complaining? While his wealth grows because Amazon stock goes up, he gets paid less than $200,000 per year. If he wants to do big things, he needs to sell a bunch of stock, which can also trigger the stock to drop in value. Government make 1,000 billion either. You really think you can fix homeless person's life by just adding a home into it? To 100% get them back on track, you have to hire 2 professionals who will devote themselves every day to examine every aspects of guy's life and then slowly fix it after finding what's been causing problems. You won't fix a dying tree by giving some water to it.